want to restructure the Department of Housing and Urban Development.
Okay. HUD.
HUD, yeah.
Yeah.
To reduce bureaucratic overreach and end what they see as progressive policies.
So again, this idea of shrinking the government.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then they also want to target the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention.
CDC.
The CDC and the Food and Drug Administration.
Okay. The FDA, so big agencies.
Yeah.
Dealing with health.
They want to split the CDC.
Really?
Separate its data gathering function from its policymaking role.
Interesting.
And they also want to reform the FDA's medical test approval process.
Okay.
They're saying it's too slow and burdensome.
Okay, so trying to speed things up.
Exactly. And then finally, this document, it includes proposals to increase domestic oil and gas production on federal lands.
Okay.
They want to restore integrity to the Department of Justice and the FBI. They're arguing that those institutions have become politicized.
Right.
They want to reform labor policies by promoting family-sustaining jobs, limiting the power of unions, and allowing employers to prioritize hiring American citizens.
Okay, so kind of an America first approach to labor.
Exactly.
Interesting.
And then to combat inflation.
Yes, inflation is a big issue.
It is a big issue.
Yeah.
They want to streamline and reform the Federal Reserve, potentially through a strict monetary policy rule or even a return to the gold standard.
Wow, so a lot of big ideas here.
I mean, it's really a comprehensive blueprint for a Republican administration.
Wow.
It touches on pretty much every aspect of government.
All right, so that's Project 2025.
That's Project 2025.
A lot to digest.
It is.
Okay.
But now let's shift gears a little bit and talk about former President Trump.
Okay.
We had this document here outlining 20 potentially controversial actions.
Oh, boy.
He has taken just in the past 3 weeks.
20 in 3 weeks. That's...
Yeah, it's been a busy few weeks for him.
All right, well...
So this is where things get really interesting because Trump is still a very potent force in American politics.
Definitely.
And the things he does, the things he says, they still have a big impact on the political landscape.
It's hard to ignore him.
It is.
Yeah.
So let's dive into some specific examples.
All right, let's hear it.
So one of the things that really jumped out at me was Trump's statement accusing the FBI of planting evidence.
Oh, wow.
During the Mar-a-Lago raid.
Okay.
I mean, this claim has been widely disputed.
Right.
But it certainly fueled a lot of distrust in law enforcement.
Yeah, among his supporters.
Exactly. And this kind of fits into this pattern that we've seen from Trump of questioning the legitimacy of institutions.
Yeah, especially those investigating him.
Exactly. And, you know, this raises concerns about what this kind of rhetoric does to the rule of law.
Right, and public trust in government.
Exactly. And then there was that recent rally.
Oh, yeah.
Where he called for the termination of parts of the Constitution.
What?
To overturn the 2020 election results.
Oh, boy.
I mean, that statement was met with widespread condemnation.
I can imagine, even from some within his own party.
It was a really alarming statement because it suggests that he's willing to disregard democratic norms.
And the rule of law.
Exactly. And, you know, what does that mean for the stability of American democracy?
Yeah, that's a big question.
Big question.
Yeah.
And then just last week, he had dinner with a known white supremacist.
Oh, no.
An anti-Semite.
Wow.
I mean, this obviously sparked outrage, accusations that he's normalizing hate speech.
It's definitely a bad look.
It is. And it raises questions about his judgment.
And his associations.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, who is he surrounding himself with?
Right. What message is that sending?
And I mean, these are just a few examples from this document.
Right.
But I think it illustrates the potential impact of Trump's actions and his words.
Yeah, he still has a platform.
He does.
And people are listening.
They are. So now let's try to connect the dots a little bit.
Okay.
Between these recent actions and the policy proposals in Project 2025.
Right.
One thing that's interesting is the overlap between some of Trump's criticisms and the specific agencies that Project 2025 targets for reform or defunding. So, for instance, his constant attacks on the FBI align pretty closely with the document's calls to restore integrity to the Department of Justice and the FBI.
Okay, so a shared distrust of...
Yeah, it seems like they both see these institutions as being problematic.
In some way.
Exactly. And his disdain for the Corporation for Public Broadcasting echoes their proposal to defund it.
So again, that same target.
It's that same idea of these institutions are